Hello, beautiful beings. So today is Yellow Electric Seed, and it feels like a really important day to offer a little transmission that I'm not really doing this very much anymore. I still am within my own being, and I still am in the physical when the opportunity arises, but as I've repeatedly shared, my focus is now upon the children. But the thing that I wanted to show to begin with is, ta-da! As promised, I've continued to make the astrological diary, and I've updated the cover art this time. So, as was the case with the previous editions, we have the description of all of the signs and all of the magic, and then each day you get a page a day for your experiences so that you can fill in and you can see. I don't know if that'll come out backwards because it looks backwards as I'm looking at it. Maybe it'll be back to front, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But you can see that you've got the Gregorian date and then the Mayan date. So you can't lose your way, which is wonderful. And then you also get a little wonderful poem which captures the essence of each of the wave spells, so you really get to be in alignment with the wave spells as they happen. And then also, have I got an example? Come on, give my thumb a little flickery. Come on. And then we also have a little bit of intentionality and information about each of the moons. And as I'm not sharing on the regular, this little beauty will be very, very supportive if you're wanting to align with this frequency. So the next cycle begins on the 18th of May. If you've already been using your astrological diary, you'll have been feeling, we're getting to the last few pages. So the link for that is below. I'm not going to be doing much advertising about it because it's not where my soul is guiding me to be in the public sphere with. Though I am still initiating people into this different frequency of time. It's this really interesting place within like social media presence of, you know, in a little while, because I've finished my book about education, what to do about school, more on that later, but I need to be showing up on social media with that. And it's a slightly different tribe, even though it is our tribe. You know, there's people that want to educate their children in alternative ways or let them be a little bit more free, that might be like, what are you talking about with extraterrestrial consciousness and dimensions and time? So yeah, just toning it down slightly on the old social media around that side of things. But I did want to let you know that the diary is now there, because I know that there's quite a few people that have kind of got into a pattern of connecting to this time code and their own reality through using the diary. So there we go. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about the yellow electric seed energy because it's very significant for us, and I'm also going to be pulling a few cards around the next stage that we are entering into when we move into this new spin on the 18th of May. I have to check because when it comes to Gregorian timelines, you know what I'm like. Oh, it's nice to be doing a little video. I'm just landing from a really, really profound, beautiful retreat, and for me, this experience, you know, we were in the middle of the mountains, it was so beautiful. And the intention, you know, of this retreat feels to be the energy of yellow electric seed. Now, you may be aware that last year, Gregorian year, on the new year, within the Mayan framework, which is the 26th of July, because of the rising of Sirius, we entered the third year of our 13-year process that began in 2019, the White Wizard 13-year process, which is really about us dropping into the alchemy, the alchemists that we are, and the ability to exist embodied as humans in multiple dimensions, and being able to access, whilst embodied, these different aspects of who we are, so that we can really transmit that frequency through the human vessel onto the earth realm, into the earth realm, into the earth plane, into the plane of materiality and manifested, solid, seemingly, form. So today, this particular day, is fantastic for planting seeds and planting intention, but it's also the echo of the year that we began last year, because within the way that this time code works, we're constantly cycling through this 260-day cycle. So the yellow electric seed initiated this time last year, not this time last year, sorry, 26th of July last year. I feel like I'm being a little bit confusing with all the words, but never mind, it's all right. It is what it needs to be. So yeah, this retreat that I went to really embodied the energy of yellow electric seed, because the yellow seed is about the planting of the new consciousness. It's about the inspiration landing into the dirt. It's about the higher realms, or the deeper realms, however you want to perceive it, but the higher frequency potentiality being able to land upon the planet. It's about new life. It's about the initiation through the dark. It's about breaking through layers. Now also, because it's the electric tone, because it's the 3rd year of our grander process, this is about the alchemy point. This is about the collaboration point. This is about how we come together. So the yellow electric seed year has been really, and I've witnessed it, within my communities, our communities, but in my human experience, I've witnessed these new ideas that are coming in now. And there's somewhat of a flow in the way that we're co-creating, and it is a co-creation now. So what I'm really witnessing for myself and with other people in my field is that we're really being called in, and this is why the retreat was reflective of this energy. We're really being called now to re-establish community co-creation. So as opposed to, this is my idea, there's something happening where it's like, oh wow, this is our idea. We've got a shared dreaming and we're bringing it through together. And each person has a different flavour of the dreaming. Each person has a different particular element and aspect that they're channeling through for the dreaming, but it is one dreaming. It's one dreaming on a bigger level, but it's also one dreaming on these like more micro projects that we're birthing and visioning. And there's something within that, within this yellow electric seed energy that we've still got a few months left of as a collective. There's something in being able to utilize this next few moons before we hit July and we move into the new energy, so that we can continue to plant. This is really, now that we're coming to sort of the end of this year cycle, it's like we've gone through the initiation of the energy and we're now landing in the place of like harmonization. And I can really feel, and I feel like most of us can really feel, if we're feeling that yes, there's a density, but the density has always been apparent. The density has always been in existence. Maybe it's not always been apparent, but it's always been there. Like the weight has always been there, but what's happening now is that it's been revealed. And through that revealing, that triggers us into a process. It's like we open the gate, we see what's actually going on, there's a descent, but then through that descent, there's the breaking down of illusion that opens up true sight. And collectively, we're opening this new space now. And I really don't adhere to the notion that there is a group of people that are going to be living in high society. That feels to be the old program of this reality. So there were different cultures, different civilizations and communities at different times that rose into a clearer conscious space. And there have been people that have existed outside of the patriarchal colonial distortions of mind-limited consciousness, devoid of heart, that have existed, continue to exist and hold that frequency, like the Kogi people. But what I also really recognise now, and what's really coming through my channel, is that it's simply about time and us all collectively rising. Not that there will be specific pockets. So this idea of like the golden age is going to exist and there's also going to be this other frequency reality operating is in some ways truth. I can really witness that, my reality feels very heaven-like, and there are other aspects of our collective reality that are not in that space. And I've been in hell for a long time, moved through what I needed to move through that sacred medicine, and will continue to always spiral, you know, like we all do. But what is really coming through for me now, I feel like once we get to the end of this 13-year cycle with the wizard, collectively, vibrationally, we will all be operating at a higher frequency. And this new earth is about our global society operating in a different dimensional reality. Not that there's going to be this separation. Like any time there's any kind of duality coming through ourselves, the other, the collective, it's simply like the echo of what has been. And when we really feel into, you know, what we're here for, it's unity consciousness, to love. It's literally it, to love, to exist in love, to love one another, and to release these notions of separation and duality. So if there's an idea that the world is still going to exist in a very dualistic thing, it's like, I can't get on board with that, but that's my personal feeling within that. In July, we're going to be moving into a new year cycle, and I will share something about that later. But what I would like to focus on today, and what I feel to focus on, is just feeling into, you know, what this new 9-month, this new 260-day cycle, what are the qualities of energy that are going to be present for us within that. So, as I say, this begins on the 18th of May, so we've got, you know, just over a moon left before we switch into this new human cycle, because we have the 260-day human gestation cycle from conception to birth. That's always operating within us, even though we don't mark it as a time frequency consciously, you know. And then we also have the time frequency that we do mark consciously, which is a 360-day cycle. The 13 moons are not recognised within that, but that's for another time, another moment, another thread. But when it comes to this 260-day cycle that we're constantly going through, it is our human being evolution code. So each time we go through a 9-month, 9-moon, 10-moon cycle, 260-day cycle, we're operating on a, potentially, if we've shifted and changed and transformed, we're operating at a different frequency of the same coding. So it's all about like dimensions of experience. It's all fractals of time. So we've always got this grid, this 260-day process with 20 archetypes. We will always be going through that. We'll always be experiencing those different qualities of energy in the same way that we have these seasonal energies, for example, in our physical experience. That is going to be something that we always experience. I know that there's all the global warming side of things, but just let's take it metaphorically for now as a way of understanding what I'm trying to communicate. So the other thing within that is that, you know, as if we look at the seasons, when we were living wild, the seasons affected us more dramatically. And there's something beautiful within that, but there's also a lot of physicality in that. Whereas we operate on a maybe slightly more detached, but a different rung of our experience now, so that when it's freezing outside, you know, when it's snowing outside, we can still be warm here inside. And when the sun is blazing, we can find shelter and shade and water. So as we move through these 260-day cycles, as we expand, our experience of each of the archetypes is different. Once we've received the medicine of the archetypes, which we continue to receive, but an initiation about finding our voice when we've never began to open the trauma or the conditioning that's limited our voice will be very different to 7 years down the line when we've already cleared quite a lot of our vocal expression. So the quality of experience that we will have if we're receiving an archetypal lesson, an archetypal transmission around vocality and around our voice will be different. So each time we journey through another 260-day cycle, whether we're doing it consciously or not, we will have a slightly different experience. But the beauty is with the human experience, when we apply ourselves consciously, when we commit to doing the work, when we commit to the recognition that nothing is static and nothing is fixed within our personality or otherwise, we then lean into life in a very different way. So when we have something coming in, as opposed to it being a reaffirmation of a part of our identity that is flawed or broken, or just the way it is within an experience of life or a personal experience or whatever, when that notion is dismantled, we then lean into that experience as a gift, as a lesson, as a teaching that we can alchemize, transform and change. And I know that I'm in channel now, but I can speak from my human self to say that with the experience of vocality and language, I've had such a big journey with being able to speak my truth and being able to be honest and being able to be vulnerable, and there are still small echoes of that within certain situations, but on a whole, totally different, So when we're cycling through these 260-day cycles, we are evolving. The gestation period, the growth period of human does not end ever. Though in the early stages it's more physical, like when we're literally growing into human form, and as we move through childhood, it's like the physical growing slows down somewhat. But if we're still applying ourselves consciously to growth, we are constantly going through this growing process, like this, into the smush, into the birthing, into the smush, into the birthing. So we're always going to be growing and transforming if we choose, and when it is what we choose, really amazing things happen. And this is then the frequency of heaven on earth that we get to experience. This is then the frequency of alignment and of harmonization that we get to experience. And the other piece that really feels to be coming through what's happening now on the planet is that we are refinding one another again. Community was disintegrated, and you can go down a conspiracy rabbit hole with that, but there is no conspiracy within divinity. The most horrendous things are the most aligned things for the soul that chose that experience to evolve through. That doesn't simply apply to our individuality, that is our collective journey. The human energy, the human species was ready for another divine leap, and therefore there has to be the crushing, as we know from our own individual experience, and as is reflected in all aspects of this reality. The death is the birth, the composting. Composting provides the nourishment that grows the new thing. So let's have a little feeling and see what comes through. So yeah, I've already been feeling in, and it feels good, it feels fucking good. Like what's coming in for this next 260-day cycle feels really good. But yeah, I'm just welcoming into this space. The galactic guides, the Galactic Federation that love us unconditionally and desire to support us to align with the highest frequency timeline. We're praying for guidance and open to receive loving guidance around this next 260-day cycle that is beginning very soon. And yeah, what are the flavors? How can we best lean in? What needs to be shared? What wants to be shared? What would you like us to know so that we can be best of service? How can we best serve in this next 260-day spin? Where do the humans need to be focusing? Beautiful. Thank you, Spirit. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, it's been coming through quite a lot of channels recently. Thank you, Spirit. Ooh, yeah. Economics, things going on with the monetary system. We've got the Tower, we've got wealth, and we've got the Queen of Discs, which for me indicate the breaking down of something with the monetary system as like a different... but the thing that's really wanting to be expressed is, again, these rungs of experience. Ooh. Still there. The thing just went low power mode, which meant that my phone froze. My screen on my phone froze. Beautiful. Okay, so, delicious, bellissimo. Okay, so in the center, Thoth Tarot brought us these beauties. And I'm going to break down what I can see in them. And then above and below, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Birth in a new age and the age of light. Wha-bam! And then either side we have play. And we have the Star Mother. So, what I'm feeling in this is, in the dimension that has been operating on the planet for a very long time as the primary operating system of mind devoid of heart, we are seeing the dismantling of the codependent, systematic, distorted mother-father dynamic. So this idea around the slavery codes, you have to give of yourself to the thing, this external thing, to be able to receive and have your needs met. This corrupted energy around, mummy and daddy of the state, please come and save me. Oh, mummy and daddy of the state, you're so unfair. That whole little dance is ready to move out now. And this is birthing the new age of light. We are creators. We are magnets. Frequency magnetizes. If we are down rabbit holes, filling ourselves with fear, we are magnets for the energy that we ingest. In the same way, if we eat loads of shit, we're going to get poorly. If we eat loads of shit on an informational level, we're going to get poorly. It's not about denial, it's about recognizing dimensional realities. It's about recognizing that we, collectively, through our collective wounding, created the whole fucking thing. It was never a them. It was only ever an us. And when we come back into love and harmony and stop feeding the old narrative, individually we access different things. So when it comes to the money thing and the abundance codes, it comes through frequency. So yes, there may be really wealthy people on the planet that have done some really distorted things to land in that position of wealth, but actually that on an energetic level is not wealth. It's not coming from that place. You know, it's coming from a distortion. Whereas the new age of light that we are moving into, that we are embodying, we're working with frequency. We're working with manifestation on a conscious level. So we do the work, we sit with the shit, then we plant our intentions, bam, bam, bam. But we're planting our intentions in alignment with the highest timeline. So it's not about this personalized, I really want to manifest £3,000, please, please, please. It's about, I'm ready for abundance and I'm giving it over to you, however you want to where you want to point with that. Giving it over to the grander aspect of our reality, the deeper aspect of our reality, which is love. The force, the intelligence of love that animates all things, that brings everything to life. Handing it over as to how that manifests within our reality. But when we are operating from a place of clearing our personal history, the personal traumas, and no longer operating from a place of, I'm broken, I'm not safe. When that's gone, we are whole, we are safe, we are complete. We have all of our needs met. So I feel like within this next 260-day reality, I feel like I need to show you how it's actually laid out. Let's see. It's going to come out upside down. Woo! Do you like my blanket? A little blanket skirt. Wee! Can you see? Wait, how do I turn? There we go. Okay, so we have the heavier energy here, the tower, around the finances. Yeah, the breaking down of this old codependent structure with the state, this breaking down of the slavery consciousness that says you must prostitute yourself in order to receive what you need. But around it, the initiation of that, the purpose of it is to birth the new age, and it's the age of light, and we have been training for it for lifetimes. And look at the way that these beings are both locating themselves with arms up, with arms able to receive with clarity. And then either side of the support of this breaking down, we have a new age. We also have the ability to mother ourselves in a different way, and this invitation to play. So I'm going to bring you back. Bring it back to me. It's so funny because like the camera bit's there, but my screen's there, so it looks like I'm like, I know I've said this before, which makes me laugh. So yeah. So this initiation around things getting very gritty, people's root feeling of safety in the physical, if they haven't already created the internal safety. If it's codependent, if it's projected outward, if it's projected onto the state, because that's what we're doing with the state. We're not imprisoned, we're projecting our power away. Getting rid of that shit, thank you very much. So as all of that's composting, what's coming in are the abundance codes. So if we're operating at a different frequency, which dimension are we in? Are we in the gritty one, or are we in the wider one? Are we in the place of beckoning, listening, receiving, and allowing ourselves to really have this unconditionally loving relationship with self, with other, and have that reflected with our experience of grander reality? Unconditional love is having all of your needs met all of the time, internally, through self, through greater self, being spirit. So how do we continue to look after ourselves? One of the things that really came through this weekend through a workshop that some of my beautiful family facilitated was around how's your inner mother, how's your inner father, how's your inner child? These three components of our being, which is beautiful because it strips away this like gendered thing around like the masculine, the feminine, and all of the weird notions and ideas that we have around that. Feminine being this like soft thing. It's like, it's fucking Carly, and she's the one that's come to fucking clear shit up. Goddess. Anyway, so when we look at it as mother and father, it's a little bit more healthy because we strip out all of that patriarchal conditioning, don't we? So, yes. Mother, how's your inner mother? What does it mean to be mothering yourself? What is that internal mothering? Father, how's your inner father? What does it mean to have that? And let's stop projecting it onto the state. Let's bring it back in to an internal state. It's so funny that we call it the state, isn't it? The internal state. Go back to the internal state. So yes. And how do we play? Go and have some fun! We've been trudging and trudging and trudging and trudging. And if we're still trudging, if we still need to be trudging, many people on the planet, I feel, still need to be trudging. But I have a feeling if you're watching this video, you're open to the idea of inner work. You've been doing some spring cleaning. Therefore, what will be accessible, what will be on offer within this next 260 days is the opportunity to birth a new age based upon unconditional love and play. And that's really what the frequency that we have come to embody is about, you know. And the other thing that's really clear to me now is that our frequency is our transmission. It's not about our work. Yes, we can create amazing things in the world, we can do things, and we can go and do the thing, and it's cool to do things. But actually, the most powerful thing, the most powerful transmission is simply your beingness, your alchemized self, your journey, your story, who you have landed as your soul integrates into your physicality through the integration of the trauma that broke you open to be able to let your soul get in. And this is what's happening collectively on the planet. It's like the human has to be smashed in order for the soul to have a bit of space to come in, you know, and then we have to put ourselves back together so that the soul can then sit in us. Like, you, I'm here, cool. Whereas, one, if we don't get broken apart, the soul can't get in because we're so full of conditioning. It's like, can't get in, no space. Two, if we do get broken open and we don't do the reintegration process, the soul's got no holding. So it's like, whoo, whoo. So the whole process is the breaking down. And this is what alchemy is. This is what the alchemy of the 13-year cycle that began in 2019 is all about. The dismantling to reassemble, to hold. And this is then when the father and the mother and the child elements come in, this Trinity energy. How do we hold the spirit and allow our hearts to come online? How do we get to play? How do we get to connect? How do we get to know one another? And it's simply through this process. You know, the external world is a reflection of the inner world. The inner world is where it's at. The inner world is where the change begins. And then we get to play in human form, and we're here to play. And this isn't from a space of denial. This is from a place of, I fucking know the underworld, thanks. I've journeyed the underworld, and I continuously will always have winter. And all of the other seasons, like we all will. But when you get to know the underworld, when you get to know the pain, when you are able to sit in it and hold and release and move and scream and cry and all of it, the nectar, the gold that is formulated through that experience is it. So kick back, and if chaos continues to descend, don't go into fear. You've mapped this territory, you know this territory. Everything is always spirit. No matter how deep you go into the rabbit hole of conspiracy, it's always spirit. No matter how corrupted and abusive that person or people may be, it's always spirit. It's the dark initiation, it's the transmission code that if we choose to step out of victimhood leads us to our power, our ability to align with the abundance that is everywhere here. As the heart comes online, the mind slots into its rightful place. When the heart isn't aligned and online, we're fucked basically. And we've been fucking up for a long time. We, not them, we. So we're really in this beautiful, beautiful place now of rediscovering what it is to love, rediscovering one another. Our communities that have been existing in pockets are finding each other. This global connection now is alive. More and more people are finding their pain, and through finding their pain, they will find their love if they're allowed to descend. And the more of us that have descended and are honest about our descent, the more permission, the more we break down the paradigm that says negativity is bad or wrong or leads to more negativity or all that shit. We've got to feel our feelings, we've got to express our truth, we've got to be honest, we've got to open. if we want to experience love. And it doesn't have to be really harsh, but if we're not doing it, it probably will be quite harsh, because spirit is always wanting us to return to love, and the more that we push against it, the greater that force of love is going to come toward us to support us to shift through the descent. So as I say, this is now live, and it's got a beautiful new front cover. Very happy with it, actually. Very, very happy. Yes, so I'll put the link below if you would like to get that, and yeah, it'll probably take a week or so to arrive with you, so get it at least by the beginning of May if you want it. I'm not going to be harping on about it very, very much, so if you know anybody that might be interested in it, or that you know uses it, let them know that it's available, because like I say, I don't want to put off people that are potentially interested in alternative education from listening to what I have to say, through them being like, what are you talking about in terms of galactic consciousness and blah blah blah. Like, us, it's not, we don't want to do that. So I would really appreciate it if you, the community, could share a little bit about this, if you feel like it's something that would align with people within your field, so that I don't have to shout too much about it on social media. But I also totally trust that the right people will find it, that want it and need it, which is the way it all works, isn't it? So yeah, darlings, wishing you all the love for spring, wishing you all the love as we complete this 260-day cycle. How we'll pop in to lay a little foundation for the energy that we're moving into when we move from the yellow electric seed year into the red self-existing moon, which will be in the end of July. So we'll watch this space for that one, and giving such deep gratitude for the galactic beings that support this planet to come back into alignment, and all of the beings on the planet that have held the frequency as the world descended into chaos, and for all the beings that we are, for the oneness of love that is everything, that animates everything, and all of the ways that our community in physical form and otherwise support and nurture and connect. Didn't know where I was looking then. Mwah. So much love, beautiful ones, and yeah, take care.